Hello everybody, it's Chloe. It's been a bit since I've been on here. I am still recovering my sleeping pattern. It's taking me a long time to get back in sync. So yeah, I'm still trying to get back on track with doing videos. I'm really hoping I will be more balanced soon. I have been noticing a lot of posts of, oh, I wish it was spring already. And I'm going, yeah, I'm happy it's finally feeling like winter. I'm on the West Coast in Washington, and like here it's very wet and humid some of the time, but it's not a dry cold like I had before in Utah. So it's a different winter experience than you might have in other places. I know places like on the East Coast are getting dumped with snow and things, so I can understand wanting some warmer weather there. But I really like to be present in the season I'm in, and I try to not wish for the next season coming up because I feel like we're always rushing forward, and I really want to be in the present. I've had these kind of feelings pretty much my whole life. I always feel like people are always borrowing for what they don't have in the present, or all, yeah, basically what I'm talking about. I wish people could be more in the present so they don't always feel in need. So with that, I wanted to share a few decks, and I mean, we all have different decks that have a really good blend of all the seasons, but some have a little bit more, say, nighttime look to them, like starry skies and moons, some stormy weather cards, and like clouds that look like they could be stormy. Then there's like cards that don't have too many flowers and things going on that can kind of keep you in the present energy of the darker time of the year, for using for your readings for what you're experiencing now. So these are decks I would use if I had situations I was going through, or if I'm reading for people who have some questions about things they're going through in the present. Um, Maybe they have to make a decision, maybe they're dating right now, and they want some feedback on some of the things they're experiencing. I sometimes find it a little bit jarring to do a reading in midwinter and then get this summer, um, summer bright, like totally different season, totally, like, can't we get the same kind of message but in the season we're in? Okay, so it would really cool if, like, we now have like the Halloween deck. Okay, so this deck, this oracle, has a lot of like fall, winter, not so much winter, but like darker look to it. And when I went through the deck, I found, let's see, trying to see, what was it? Because it's leaning towards a darker time of year, I feel like even though this is meant for around Halloween, you could read this into winter because it has a really cool winter card. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Even this dawn card with the owl isn't too jarring, even though it's a little bit of a brighter card. I just feel like, even like Brian Froud's deck with the Fairy Oracle and the Heart of the Fairy, it's in like browns and some really nice subtle tones, but none of it's like, oh yeah, I really love this card. It's like so nice for a winter card. It has, yes, it has this like crunkled leaf, which I actually have a lot of these outside right now. Here, because it doesn't get quite as cold, you definitely still have some plant stuff going on, including like a little bit of grass and stuff that's going on in this one, towards the bottom here, and some leaves that are still, floating about and dead off the trees and stuff. And I really like that. I love the darker tones, but some people are like, oh, this deck I only pull out for, maybe November, maybe late September, and then October definitely, and that's about all they use it for. And I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna use this into December if I really want to. So yeah, the Halloween Oracle has a few really cool, but it's just a really cool deck. Now, one surprisingly that I have that I didn't necessarily think of, I actually used to think this was more good for like all seasons, and it is. But then when I was thinking of, okay, so this is the time of year where we still have longer nights than we have days, right? We're in that type of season. So that's what I'm thinking about. And then storms, cloudy weather, foggy weather, rainy weather, those kind of things, and then longer nights. That's what we're in. Okay. So here is what I call the shamanic cards. This is the Messenger Oracle by Raven Flynn. And this deck is surprisingly has far more cards with either a nighttime starry night scenery or a moon card or a full-on, you know, certain things that remind me of this darker time of the year and cooler time of the year. And then these shamanic cards are kind of a split of both. So I think that's really cool because then you may see some of the brighter stuff, but you also see what you're currently in, and it's not, for me, as jarring. And then they have these really awesome, if you have this deck, you know, there's these tometic, like animal guardians in these starlit, almost like, since I've been to see the Northern Lights, it kind of reminds me of that, although they're definitely different colors. And then many of the dragons, not all of them, have kind of a darker background going on. So like Starry Night or like a misty background, foggy, that kind of thing. Or in this case, it's sun, moon, you know, the cosmos dark with stars. And then this is like, I forget what that's called. It's like that medicine symbol or whatever we have used. It used to be something else like part of staves and things. I can't remember all the details right now. Okay, so here's an example of, say, a dragon that is part of the night sky being shown more like a guardian than as one of her typical more solid dragons. Okay, so that's one of those. And I love the egg with like bright intense currents showing through. Okay, and here's one of the more twilight dragons with like a tree of life in blossom there. Come on, you. Focus in. Sorry, this deck is a little bit shiny, so sometimes the camera doesn't want to focus, and I'm sorry for that. It looks like it's more focused on me than the card. But like I said, and then she has some more solid animals. And again, this one has like a nighttime sky in the background and maybe more of a fall card, but I went for nighttime. Okay, nighttime, stormy winter, any of those kind of things. And fog, rain, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this deck had a predominance of that kind of dark time of the year. Okay. And if you have it, you know, and if you don't, take a peek. There's some really cool stuff. Like this one kind of reminds me of, it even says New Day Dawns, but it's still. And then this one has a similar coloring, but it's going further. More, to me, it seems more nighttime. And then there's some ones like this. This one, these kind of split colored dragons. This one's reflecting off of the bright color of the little drakish dragon. Sharing current thoughts, that kind of thing. And here's I really love this one. Although I'm a little conflicted because well, overall I feel like this is a good either fall or winter scene with very little, like the bare trees, you know, or trees with very little leaves. I really like that. Okay. Again, this is a really shiny deck, so yeah, I really feel that this is a really good deck for that. So the Messenger Oracle, I really recommend. It does have cards for the brighter time of the year. It does. Lovely little birds, fairy beings, guardian beings with birds, and, you know, the green man and stuff like that. So yeah, fertility, all kinds of brighter stuff going on too. But I love that the predominance of it is more that kind of twilight, dark time of the year. Okay. All right. And then, let's see. Okay, so I'm not going to pull them all out, but Lucy Cavendish decks are really good for that. Okay. Maybe not her mermaid deck. That one's really summertime mermaid, you know, that kind of typical showing of mermaids, but I really love the mermaids in her Shadow and Light, because there's like the sewer mermaid, there's some in stormy seas. Oh, this is like a really lovely winter scene, the snow angel. And here is this one. I'm not so sure about. To me, it reminds me a little bit more of fall, you know, dried flowers, that kind of thing. I'm not really into. This one again, where is that other one? The one I wanted to show you. So this is definitely Shadow and Light, so it's like probably like fall, dark, basically dark time of the year, leaning into it. And then I see this is one of them, the Eclipse Mermaid. Oh, I love this. You just don't find this kind of depiction. This is another lovely one. There's just so many awesome ones in this deck. Oh, I love the Storm Angel. I'm not really an angel person, but I love her angels. They're not traditionally angelic. That it's like, it doesn't feel like, if you're Christian, you'll like it because you like angels, right? But if you're not Christian and you're pagan and you're not associating angels with Christianity, then you'll like it too. And I love this one. It's like Batwing Fairy, and it's in a stormy atmosphere. I love that because so often in decks, sea-type things, except for some people like Will Worthington, he has some seal cards with like some stormy background. Oh, here's one of the other mermaids I really like. Sea Storm. Love this. Calm amidst chaos. And that's the other thing. If you want some cards that aren't all negative and is showing that dark time of the year, then the Shadow and Light deck, the Oracle of the Shapeshifters, and the Wisdom of the Fairy, Hidden Wisdom of the Fairy Realms. This deck is, let me see if I can find the divide. It is pretty even, but still more of a shadowy deck, okay? So I made kind of a split, and that's the division. So this side is more Twilight Storm, dark time of the year, winter, that kind of stuff. This side is more brighter, more, you know, summer, springy, that kind of stuff. And I like that. And that means, and this is not a negative deck. It's not like, I mean, it covers stuff, but it's not all negative with the darker cards. And I love that because so often in Tarot, you get some, unless it's on purposely a dark deck, most of the darker cards are negative cards. Whereas in Oracles, it covers a lot of different stuff, and the subject matter is actually pretty decent, especially amongst the Lucy Cavendish decks. Another positive one, if you're not into Lucy Cavendish or you're just not into Jasmine Beckett Griffith art, one I love aside from, now you know, Raven Fallen, and, well, I guess you could try going for the Dreams of Gaia, but I actually found this one, well, it has some of the similar artwork that you see in the Oracle, but I really didn't find it as much of a dark time deck. Actually, wait a minute. Am I thinking of the wrong one? No, if I remember, again, we're talking about, like, say, dark time of the year, okay? In the sense of how much daylight, storms, weather, yada, yada, okay? It actually is pretty even. Yeah, that's right. This one, it's like down the split. And you got to remember, with this deck, there's so much deep pigment, and she offsets it with darker color intensity that you really have to go through and decide for yourself, is it, you know, whatever. And what I like about that is that it's not, again, not as jarring. And this would be a good even-handed deck you could use all year round and still have a nice representation of that darker time half of the year or part of the year. So yeah, so again, she has the Messenger Oracle, and then the Dreams of Gaia. And this deck, if you know it, is more for a lot of internal healing work. But I mean, I've heard people read this with this deck for almost anything as well. But it is more internal, and it is a non-traditional tarot deck, verging on its own system. So as long as you're cool with that. If you want something more traditional, just know, like with the Mystical Cats Tarot, this has almost 30 cards that have kind of uh, a dark time of the year slash stormy slash, you know, all that stuff. About almost 30 cards. And so this is one of the more well-rounded for all seasons decks. But I really like it because of the way that it's illustrated. It's not too bright. It's still kind of light and nice if you like that kind of thing for all seasons. But I really feel that it does show a nice blend of the other kind too. I really like this one. So often the water cards are a little, there's some emotional stuff that, you know, goes in that suit with the Rider-Waite, but I love this Twilight card, like it's sunset because you have like the purples and stuff going on and darker colors up here, and the cat just looks exhausted. So this is the Four of the Sea. Instead of being all jazzed up that there's some lobsters to go chase and try to snag, it's like, I don't know, I'm not feeling up for it. And then there's like traditional, like the Five of Sky, which is usually a battle or trying to defend yourself from others. This is really well depicted here, and there's like a stormy sky overhead. I really like that. Okay, so there's some really good stuff in this deck. I just love this deck in general because the cats, and I just really like the art. Okay, and so for a surprising one, my other oracle that has unicorns is a lot more bright and like, I guess it's the Doreen Virtue one, and it's really pretty and everything. But this one, the Oracle of the Unicorns by, oh, what is her name? She has a long name. Cordelia Francisca Babs, I don't know. Babs. I have her Goddess Power deck. This is her second Oracle. Oracle of the Unicorns, and actually it is very even in dark and light. It's a little bit light. There's like a little, slightly more of the Twilight slash dark stormy kind of look. I mean, I think people could argue with me on that. I think it would be neat to see how other people feel about this deck. I know a lot of people feel it's kind of a lighter deck, but I actually really like it, and I love this. So when I went to Iceland, I took it because it had the Northern Lights on this, and actually there's quite a few cards in it that have it. So again, to me, I felt like it had, again, Northern Lights. So pretty. It has some positive, you know, stuff going on here, but anger card. It's more like how to use these negative things, like express your anger safely, or safely express your anger, use anger in a positive force. So if you're trying to go through some stuff and getting some advice on how to handle how you're feeling in the moment, this is a really good deck for that. Gentleness, be kind to yourself and others, honor your gentleness, speak words of love. And so again, depending on what you are going through, these are kind of 3 different expressions of gentleness, okay? And activities or ideas of how you can handle it. Again, another Borealis card. And so often, I really like this card too. It's a moonlit. The only thing about this one is it has flowers at the gate. But if you look at the bottom of it, it's like water. It's like she's in a gateway, okay? But again, it's a nighttime moon card, so I included intuition. This one is actually reminds me of the last unicorn because it's like unicorns in waves. But the feeling of the colors to me lends to that. It's not as bright to me. It's more dark in tone. Okay, that's just me. And then here's receive, and again, this is a nighttime look. One thing, I know there's butterflies, but there's no flowers in this, aside for what's in her hair. There's no flowers, and that was one thing I was like, there's a couple here and there. Even in this one, there's mostly no flowers in the dark, what I consider kind of the dark time of the year cards. But again, if you're dealing with just moon nighttime cards, there might be, you know, things in there. But I really felt like even with that, like this reminds me of storms, um, or fog and things like that. Again, kind of an in-between time. So I really like this deck. Again, I don't find this deck jarring in that trying to push me over into the next season thing. But it is a pretty evenly divided deck, so if you wanted that you can use it during all seasons, that's there. But I like that it was more than half being able to represent the dark time of the year, because technically that is the truth. The dark time of the year is half the year, and the light time of the year is half the year. We divide it into 4 seasons, but technically, if you follow any of the older traditions, like both the Celts and the Norse felt that the dark time of the year started basically around Samhain, when it started getting darker and darker. That was the dark time of the year. And then after a certain point, past like late spring or so, it was heading into, or should I say, the opposite of what shaman is, then that's the light time of the year. So it wasn't divided into 4 seasons for them. They were just different parts of the same, either dark or light time of the year. Let's see. Now there's a couple other decks you could look at, but I would really like to see what you all come up with for this idea. What decks for you are good for this time of the year? I know some people like the Wildwood. That has some really awesome, that's Will Worthington. His artwork is really great for having all seasons. But like say the Druid Animal Oracle that I have, it has some really good cards that show winter season stuff. This is the fox in a winter, icy rivered winter scene. This is a nighttime scene with the blackbird. To me, the water dragon is in almost a stormy or storming weather coming in or out. You know, it can be really foggy and all those kind of things around water. And this is, again, that in-between time between a storm and then the rainbows coming through. And I love, there's no flowers or anything to kind of distract from the feel of the sea around and behind the seal. The Barren Winter. And then a nighttime scene with the owl. Again, no flowers to jar you from the season. I feel it's like ivy and stuff. And then the Earth Dragon doesn't really give a hint of time of year, I don't think. I mean, there are some ferns, but I've got some ferns outside that are still alive and green in my yard, and it's like middle of winter here. The frog, I kind of feel like this is a Twilight card. I don't know. It's just me. And then this is a stormy clouds above, and then, you know, next to no leaves on the tree. So to me, that's the dark time of the year. And then the hare, this is when it's going, like, it's a dark, it's like in between, right? But it has a moon and some clouds, so I put it in there. And then a stormy atmosphere there. And then the air dragon, which is in a very intense storm and keeping its power in place, fighting against the currents. So that worked for me. So yeah, show me what you got, be it tarot or oracles. What do you like for this dark time of year? What helps you stay present? And if you don't even care about that, that's cool. Make some comments about that. I just wish people could be more in the present, because I feel like we're always borrowing for the next thing, the next thing. People are not very good at being present, and I think that's one of the things that stresses everybody out, is that they're always pushing for it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware for the next phase in some ways, but I think we don't spend enough time in the present getting things done and enjoying our families and the stuff we have to do now. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Let me know if you like this or not. Feel free to subscribe if you like. I am really would like to get some practice in on some new decks, so please feel free to contact me for maybe a discounted reading so I can get in some practice with some new decks I have. And even if things go a certain way with the reading, I will pull a few cards with a deck I'm more familiar with to give you at least one question fully solidly answered. Okay, so feel free to check out my contact information for that, be it through Facebook or website or whatever. This is Chloe. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. Bye-bye.